Hi and welcome along to AFTV. We are getting ready for the big game today. Brighton taking on Arsenal at the Amex. I was actually supposed to be at the game, but I'm a late substitute here in the studio because Lee Judges he was supposed to be here and he's sick. Get well soon to Lee. He's not feeling too good at the moment. But don't worry, we've got a brilliant show lined up for you. We've got my brother Laurie's in the building. Good to see him in good health. Yes. Sharoy's here.
Welcome, Sharoy.
Right, and of course we've got James.
I'm back.
Right, and we're going to be waiting in great anticipation to see what the starting 11 is going to be. We're also sort of keeping you guys across the scores that are happening at the moment. I can tell you, unfortunately, at the moment, Man City are winning by 1-0. Newcastle drawing 0-0 at the moment with Leeds. We'll let you know those scores as they come. Who do you think scored for City?
Erling Haaland?
That's the one, yeah, he scored.
Just a wild guess.
Anyway, listen, Happy New Year's to each and every one. Of course, this is the last day of 2022, the last game for Arsenal in 2022. And I want to say a Happy New Year's to everybody who watches AFTV. And this is coming from AFTV and NordVPN. Here is Lee and Julian with a message.
It's like I've had no freedom to just be myself. I keep getting restricted. It's like someone's watching me at home, on the train, even in the bathroom. It's making me see red!
Well, that's because London is red.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, just to be sure, I'm going to prescribe you 2 years of NordVPN. You'll feel a better sense of self when you can explore the internet with freedom. And with next generation encryption on up to 6 devices, those feelings of being watched will be gone.
Does that mean I can access new content on the streaming services I've already subscribed to?
Just change your location in the app.
And I won't get tagged by any malware?
Nord's threat protection will have you covered.
And I can save money when travelling and shopping locally instead of internationally?
All that plus 4 months free.
Oh wow. Thank you, Doc.
All right, Ty.
No, I'm not right. It's a disgrace.
Charming.
Remember, with the AFTV special, you get 4 months free, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to nordvpn.com/AFTV now.
Love that video, love that video. Be invincible by scanning the QR code and clicking the link to get an AFTV special just for all of the fans here of AFTV. And once again, I want to wish you a Happy New Year. Big up to Lee. As I said, I know you're at home at the moment. You're not feeling too good. You're supposed to be here in the studio. I filled in for you. Cecil is at the game at the moment. He's reporting to me that it's pouring with rain down there. Right? Every time that game is on down at Brighton, you was there last year, innit?
No, I pulled out. I pulled a sickie, so I was all right.
It was horrendous last year. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as that this year. It's going to be pretty wet down there. But we're all looking forward to the game. And listen, the pressure's on Arsenal. We're not, Erling Haaland said it the other day. We're the hunted. Yeah. We're the hunted, man. There's a pack of wolves behind us, right?
Sending
hunting
shots.
Hunting us down. City are one of them. They're winning at the moment. You'd expect them to beat Everton. Newcastle are another one. They're drawing 0-0 with Leeds, but you'd expect them to win that game. We're the hunted, man. And this is a big game. A place that we don't always do very well. We've got a poor record against them, Sharoy.
Yeah, we do, but I mean, look, I'm not really looking at records in this season because I really feel like we're a different team. And in terms of mindset, look, we're no strangers to the position that Brighton currently occupy in this league, right? So when we were knocking about in 7th or 8th or whatever it was, and top of the league came to us, we felt like we'd have to pull off something really quite special to beat them, whether it was City, whether it was Liverpool. And I feel as though they should be feeling exactly the same way. And speaking to fans of other teams, they're going, yeah, Brighton's a bit of a test, but you'll come through this. And I want to start feeling that way about Arsenal as well when we play these lesser teams, so to speak, right? So look, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Because it's like one of them bogey teams. I go through some of the stats on it. Brighton have lost just one of their last 5 Premier League home games against Arsenal. Yeah. They've won 2, drawn 2, 1-0 loss all the way back in December 2020. Brighton are one of just 3 teams that Arsenal have lost 4 or more Premier League games to. Brighton are one of just 3 teams that Arsenal have lost 4 or more Premier League games, and that they've only won 3 against, along with Manchester United. So, and Brighton beat us 3-1, of course, in the League Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was a much changed team. They do have a good record against us, Laurie.
Yeah, I think in the last 3 meetings we haven't beaten them. 2 losses and a 0-0 draw. So, but picking up on something that you said with regards to the comment that Haaland made when he said that they want to hunt down Arsenal. I don't know, my mindset is like, bring it on. I hope that the manager and the team embrace the challenge of being top of the table, embrace the fact that we are going to be the hunted, and respond accordingly. So I'm quite looking forward to this part of the season, man.
Yeah, a bit of encouragement here though. Brighton have lost 2 of their 4 home league games under their new manager, De Zerbi. So that's more encouraging. And also, there are going to be a few players missing for Brighton today. A couple of key players. I mean, sounding like, according to what they've said, because I'm just going off of what West Ham said the other day, that there'd be no Antonio. And then I see Antonio starting, right? But it sounded like there's going to be no Welbeck.
Right.
Welbeck's a guy that's, I think he's scored 4 out of 5 times since he's, been playing for Brighton against us. No Caicedo, we know he's definitely out. He's like, their real engine room in midfield. He's out for definite because he's serving a ban for the amount of yellow cards he's accumulated. No McAllister. Of course, he's still, celebrating after the World Cup. So they are going to be missing a few players.
Yeah, and that's McAllister and Caicedo, that's a real call for them. And if there's one place Arsenal have thrived under Arteta, probably throughout the whole of 2022, it's in midfield with Odegaard, Partey and Xhaka developing that nice balance. Partey sort of really has grown into that lone 6 role. Xhaka's been allowed to be more box to box and expressive, and Odegaard's just pulling the string. So I think they will be frustrated that they're going into this game without 2 of their best central midfielders. But the one thing they possess is a lot of technicians in their team. Lallana, Gross, Trossard as well. You mentioned Welbeck, who leads the line. Solly March, his goal the other day against Southampton, stunning, but he was doing a lot of stuff out on the right that was very Mahrez-esque, the kind of drop the shoulder, then cross to the back post. He'll cause a few problems. So I think the interesting one is how Arsenal want to approach this, because our 2 away games before the World Cup, and obviously West Ham, who we beat recently, it was Zinchenko started. It was Chelsea, it was Wolves, Zinchenko started midfield. And when you compare those 2 away games to Southampton and Leeds, the away games before, we had way more control in those games than in the Southampton and Leeds games, where we actually dropped points and only won 1-0 at Leeds, not really deserving so much. So that will be an interesting one. Zinchenko did get 20 minutes or so against West Ham. Will he come in? So
what would you do?
I would go with Zinchenko. I don't think Tierney was that great the other night, I've got to be honest. I was really lauding him for his mid-season friendly performances. Thought it looked really good in the friendlies, adapting to this inverted wing-back role a little bit more. But against West Ham, it felt like he wanted to go on the outside a lot, and we just lost a bit of control in midfield. I think
I'd go a bit further than that. Early on, I think Jared Bowen had him on toast.
That is completely fair.
Yeah. I think you're being quite.
I am being fair.
Listen, I'm a Zinchenko fan as well, but I'm a Tierney fan. I like Tierney. But he was getting bested, man, early on in that game.
He was struggling. And I think Zinchenko, it's a difficult one because he doesn't seem to need to do a lot to prove his fitness and get back in the team, whereas it feels like for Tierney he's got to do a lot more. But Zinchenko's shown his quality and played in those big games like the North London derby, like Chelsea away, and I think he'll call on him tonight.
Coming straight back from injury, he put Zinchenko in, regardless of how many minutes Tierney has under his belt. He has the utmost faith in him. Yeah. And you remember, did you guys see the Arteta Sky interview, Monday Night Football interview?
Yeah.
Where he's talking about how Pep would call himself the most defensive manager in the world because he wants to keep the ball and doesn't want to concede chances. I think Arteta would, employing the same philosophy, say that we're going to keep possession much better with Zinchenko on the pitch. So it's not a defensive move in his eyes, but retaining the ball will give us the control that I think we need away from home. And if someone had a gun to my head now and said who's starting, I think he's going with Zinchenko today.
Who would you start with?
I believe he'll go with Zinchenko. I must say I'm looking forward to the tactical battle on this because Brighton, obviously they're at home. Will they be expected to come at us? Will we sit back a little bit?
They will. They normally do.
They normally play a 4-2-3-1.
I mean, they've taken some big scalps as well this season. Don't forget, they beat Chelsea. They hammered Chelsea at home. They beaten United this season as well. I mean, they are a team that they're very brave in the way they play, and I'd expect them to try and come after Arsenal.
And since this new manager's taken over, I've been doing a little bit of research into him. He's quite an attack-minded player, attack-minded manager. So that suggests that they will come at us today. And from what I'm reading is the performances have got progressively better. So their last game against Southampton, they were really good. And people are saying, you know, he's starting to have an effect on the way they play. If you remember, when he first took over from Graham Potter, they had a few different results. But the narrative now is that he's got them playing the way he wants them to play. So should be a good game.
They do. They did this a bit under Potter. They do kind of rattle through quite a few different formations. The three at the back, sometimes, you know, a kind of 3-3-4, sometimes a 4-2-3-1, sometimes 4-4-2. I think that Brighton strike me as the kind of team that they're fantastic to watch. I think we all can really appreciate what they've been doing and how they keep adapting to losing Ben White, losing Basuma, losing Graham Potter, and they still churn out a level of performance that we all admire and will fear to a degree going into this game. But I do think they're still the kind of team that if Arsenal impose their game on them the first 10-15 minutes, keep the ball, make their keeper work once or twice in the first 15 minutes, they might just start to panic a little bit and just kind of be like, okay, we're up against the league leaders. So I do think a fast start is crucial.
Tommy Asu could be fit as well.
He is apparently.
Yeah. So should he come in? Yeah, I mean, we've seen him come in in the left back position as well, and of course he could come in at a right back. You know what I mean? But for you, is it a player you ease back in?
I feel like he'd be the perfect substitution if we're trying to see out a lead. If we're up at the hour mark, then you can bring someone like Tommy on to see it out. You know, and that's what he was doing for large periods at the World Cup as well. When they wanted to hang on to a lead, he was coming on for Japan and doing a stellar job. We're sport for options at the fullback positions, which is something I haven't been able to say in recent years.
You know what? Funny enough, right? I mean, obviously we haven't seen the team yet, but one of the encouraging things is a lot of times when we go into these type of games, there's a lot of key players missing. Yeah. His players out, our players out. Also at the moment,
great point.
You know, going into these games with strong lineups. You know what I mean? That at the moment, injury-wise, apart from Jesus, obviously the Smith Rowe one, and the manager said that Smith Rowe is going to be back very soon now. Yeah. Is what he's saying. I mean, we're starting to go into these big games with strong 11s, which is, you know, I look at last year, for instance, like when we played Tottenham. Go and look at the lineup for that game. And despite the fact that still we should be doing better than what we did, we go and look at the lineup for that game. Look at the lineup when we played Newcastle away. Some of those key games, there was a lot of key players missing. We're kind of going into these games with strong, you know. Yeah, I mean, Thomas Partey being fit at the moment is always a key one in midfield.
Well, he got he got injured against Palace last year, and then we had Brighton next, and they beat us. Right, we didn't have him when we lost at home because he came off in the Palace game. So he was one notable absentee, if I'm not mistaken. I think we also didn't have Tierney. At left back either, so it was Tavares starting. So we were.
Actually, Xhaka against Brighton. Remember
fine,
that?
Yeah, you're right.
We'll go with Xhaka left back.
You're right. Very much so. Very much so. And that was the one when Martinelli had that very odd one out where you couldn't really see whether. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but that's the thing. We've got pretty strong 11.
So you know, obviously we haven't seen the lineup yet, and we're hoping it's going to be strong.
How long have we got?
But you know, it looks like we'll be going into this game, a key game, with a strong lineup with not too many injuries to key players.
But you see how we always stress about the size of our squad? We do a lot of that on AFTV, on the online fan base. Everyone I speak to stress about the squad, and I'm absolutely one of them, and we need additions. But I think we sometimes ignore the benefits of a small squad, which a lot of managers do want. Klopp for a long time had a small squad at Liverpool. Poch for a long time had a small squad at Tottenham, and they achieved success, but significant growth with those clubs. And I think one of the things you benefit from is a day like today where, okay, there's Zinchenko, Tierney, who's going to start there? And okay, there's a bit of quality like Fabio Vieira on the bench, and if Smith Rowe are fit, he might be one of them as well. But largely, we're not sitting there going, "Ooh, how is player X going to take being dropped?" You know, or is there going to be a degree of off the field he has to play this guy? So what's going to happen? You know, there are complexities that come with having a really big squad, and the fact that we've been able to keep everyone fit, they're on a roll, they're in a rhythm. And you largely know who's going to go out there, which is a good thing for the side. Now, we do need more depth. There's a fine balance. We need depth because injuries happen, because we've got the Europa League coming, and because I think you always want to have that degree of unpredictability. But when we're kind of still in our infancy in terms of competing with the very best, I think having that degree of continuation is not the word, but you get what I'm trying to say. I think it's a good thing for us. Consistency.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be Mudryk who's coming in as well. Gooner Dan asked a question. Don't know if you spoke about it, but have you seen the Mudryk Insta? His last video included the line, "Still got to see the Gunners win the Premier League," which is the Drake tune with 21 Savage. 21 Savage has got that line in there. KD says, Mudryk posted Gunners win the Premier League. Right. Well, I don't know if he said that. That's the line.
I mean, this is going to be fully embarrassing if he doesn't come now. If he doesn't come now.
I've never ever seen a come get me.
Yeah, this is very forward. Yeah. Very.
But there is also the looming thing that I saw of Chelsea now showing an interest.
That's the high price. That's the high price.
I just think that's just. I'm not really too bothered about that. The players are really expressed an interest that he wants to come to us.
Yeah. I'm not worried about Chelsea.
It's how much?
I'm not worried about Chelsea coming in. Not that they can't take him in. Listen, they can offer more money and they can have him, and Shakhtar might do that deal and say to Mudryk, this is the only one we're willing to accept. Yeah. And would he really turn that down? Probably not. But he's expressed such an interest in joining us that I'd find something quite comical about him joining Chelsea. It'd kind of be, it's a bit like when Basuma signed for Tottenham. I know a lot of people were disappointed about that, but I mean, do you remember on his story, I think in the weeks before, he'd posted some comments or screenshots of comments saying, bring Basuma to Arsenal or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like you want players that want to be at your club.
Yeah, I was going to say, how will Chelsea feel knowing that you've signed okay, you paid a bit more money.
They wouldn't care.
But really,
if he's that good,
he's expressed an interest to come to us.
Listen, we've seen players get good. You know, every United fan thought that Cody Gakpo was going to United, and you know, yesterday you saw him at Anfield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But the difference was Gakpo never wasn't issuing those get me statements away Mudryk.
But before you know, Mudryk could be at Chelsea doing a BT Sport interview saying, I'm blue now.
I was a lifelong Chelsea fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Football's a funny one.
But he is one of the players linked. I mean, the squad does need strengthening. You know, I mean, tonight again, we'll go into this game, and if Eddie's fit, he'll start, right? But what if it's not working out in this? That's the worry at the moment. If it's not working out, what is there on the bench attacking wise?
Well,
Reece Nelson injured as well, which we don't really mention.
Yeah.
Reece Nelson's out as well.
He was another option.
And I don't think Mark Hughes has done enough for us to feel that this year he can make the kind of impact.
You need a goal.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the bench to
Vieira.
I mean, Vieira, because he's got a good strike on him and clearly has a bit more of an eye for goal than I think a lot of natural 10s. I think he actually does have a good strike on him, and I think he could come off the bench. You go to a back three, and maybe you do something with him. But yeah, we need quality. I find the Mudryk thing so interesting though, because it's very public. And I was listening to Gunner blog, James McNicholas, obviously writes the Athletic, and he was talking about it. You know, he said it reminded him of the Arshavin deal. It kind of felt a little inevitable, and I remember that one. Was that January 2009 or something? And it was it was really snowy, and it delayed the transfers. It went on a couple of days after the deadline. But with this Mudryk one, the amount he's talking about, the amount that's actually in the media, it does feel like Arsenal and Mudryk are both trying to create almost a pressure around Shakhtar to say, look, like everyone wants this deal to happen. You're holding it up. Don't.
Well, they're holding firm at the moment, and they're trying to say what they're trying to say is that listen, Anthony went for 80 million to Man United, right? And we think Mudryk is better. So we want the same sort of money.
I would do the same if I was trying to... If he was a prized asset or a crown jewel, I'd do exactly the same. But in my mind, I would know that, look, if they come up a little bit and the window's running to its conclusion, there's a price that they're going to accept. And I think Arsenal are sort of willing to play chicken with them. But the problem with that is the transfer could get dragged out to the back end of January, whereas I really want it to take place at the start of January because we've got some crunch games that could largely dictate the course of our season if they go horribly wrong. And that's where we need that strength and depth.
You know what I admire about Arsenal's approach, and you can hear it in some of Arteta's press conferences about, ideally we want to do these deals early, blah, blah. I think they're trying to be aggressive, but also fair to Shakhtar. I think the opening bid of, 40 million plus 25 million euros add-ons, that's a really fair offer for someone who, still a lot to do in the game. They're still very young, and it's more potential than guaranteed quality right now. So I think they've actually gone in with an offer that says, we're serious. We don't want to waste time. We want to get this done. You get your funds and can do what you need to do for the rest of January to reinforce as well. But don't take the piss. I think that will be the next. I think the Shakhtar CEO or whoever it was, owner, said that they were going to have a next round of calls with Arsenal earlier this week.
He said 5 minutes after this interview, I'm going to be on the phone with Arsenal talking.
Yeah.
Even their owners being super public
Yeah,
about
he said,
this.
exactly.
Because he's trying to get the price.
Yeah.
But I can imagine on that call, Arsenal was saying, "Look, this isn't some, like you said, chicken. We'll call your bluff. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll come up to 5 in 3 weeks. Are you going to do this deal?" Or off somewhere else.
Yeah, I think you're right. That first offer was to signal the intention to say, listen, we're not taking a mick. This is serious. We do want the player. The player wants to come.
Yeah.
Chelsea now have entered the equation, supposedly. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. But I would be fairly confident that he will be an Arsenal player.
Nick says, who has the nicer legs, Don, Robbie or Grealish? Come on, you Gunners. Don, Robbie. Nicer legs. Grealish has got some serious legs. By the way, updating you on the scores at the moment. Bournemouth 0, Crystal Palace 2. Manchester City are winning 1-0. Still that goal from Erling Haaland in the 24th minute. Can Everton possibly pull something back, get a draw maybe?
Nope.
Fulham 1, Southampton 1, and it's still, this is quite a surprising one at the moment, it's still Newcastle 0, Leeds 0. After watching Leeds the other night, I'm surprised that's still 0-0.
I was talking about Newcastle on DR Sports Talking Tactics with Matisse, and I know for a fact they're going to score now that I'm saying this, but
don't say nothing then.
Let's not believe it. What I was saying is, I was giving huge credit to Eddie Howe, and I was saying, when you look at that team, that starting 11, it's not blessed with, like, you don't look at that team and go, well, it's got frightening pace, or said players got loads of flair. I mean, maybe because Maximan and Isaac are injured, to be fair, so they've got quality to come in. But the way they're coached and the intent they show, the Leicester goals, the amount of players they get in the box, everything, they're a really admirable side, and what they're doing is really, really impressive. And I think they're going to be really tough. I mean, what was it? 3 days, 4 days time? We played. That's going to be a really,
that's going to be a
game.
very, and it would be great to go into that game still holding on to a 5-point lead, because that is going to be a really, really tough game. They're so confident at the moment as well, Newcastle. So
they're on a long winning streak.
They've been excellent.
There on the screen. I'm not going to pretend that I've memorised this. I'm reading it. It says that Newcastle have won each of their last 6 Premier League games, and they last had a longer unbeaten run in September 1996. I mean, look at that.
It's amazing what they've done.
For their form.
And you know in sport, momentum is everything in sport. Once you've got built up momentum like that, then the players start believing.
And for us, we've got, it's important to keep the momentum going, because you're looking at it, all the teams are winning. All the teams Liverpool won last night, Manchester United won earlier, City are winning now, Newcastle, we still think we'll probably get a result in that. We need to keep winning. We are the hunted, and but we've only lost 1 game this season.
And our home form, it really has turned into a fortress at the Emirates, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I know that we talk about how the signings could impact the strength and depth or whatever, but we all know that a big signing just sends confidence flowing through the dressing room. It's like, look, we're now getting landmark players coming into this dressing room. They want to play for us. That also, it's not just results that can help keep momentum going. It's refreshing squads. And January is a great time to sort of get that boost, and that's why I'd love to see Mudryk coming in the first.
Who else would you think we could do, apart from Mudryk?
I've seen a lot of the, since Jesus has been injured, that we're looking at people like Felix or whatever. But for me, honestly, I've maintained this throughout. If we get Mudryk, I want a midfielder. I want a backup defensive.
So you wouldn't want João Felix as well?
Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't want him. I'd love him. But if you told me you're going to get another forward player or another midfielder, I think that with people like Smith Rowe returning, with Mudryk in the team, with Jesus potentially returning ever so slightly earlier than people had anticipated, who knows? I think we're going to be okay going into the back end of the season. But I'm still looking at Xhaka, Partey and saying, look, I'm not saying we don't have replacements in terms of numbers, but that quality drop-off could be the difference, because the United game that we lost,
Everton have scored. Damari Gray.
All right.
And sorry to cut you. That's interesting. Sorry to cut you. I was just looking at the stats. Man City in 64 minutes have had 5 shots, 1 on target all game. Everton, none until this goal. But 5 shots at home to Everton is appalling. So I was about to come in and just say, I don't know if, obviously we can't watch the game, but City aren't, stats-wise, it's not looking all that comfortable for them. They're not really peppering the goal the way you'd think. And Everton have an
I
equaliser
agree,
now.
and the only thing is, he's in the 64th minute, right? So it's still 25 minutes.
I think Everton are fighting for their lives.
Absolutely, but they're not free flowing. That's the only thing.
Everton are fighting for their lives at the moment, so I can imagine them making it as difficult as they possibly can. But as you said, will they be able to hold out?
5 shots in an hour against Everton.
But now they have the luxury of bringing on someone like Phil Foden. They have
They're going to win.
Cancelo on the bench.
I think Foden's already on.
They're going to win, but that's not. There's something strange about City this year.
You're not the only person saying that.
I know.
You're not the only person saying
I've got
that.
a little
Particularly
bit
defensively.
I know. I got cooked for saying on DR that Haaland is amazing, and I bet he'll win them this game.
Yeah.
But again, I haven't watched it, but look at the stats. They don't feel like the kind of team that pepper your goal with chances. Look at the defeat they had to Brentford for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Brentford didn't actually look like conceding in that game.
Adam Greet says Eddie could be our Christopher Ray of the 97-98 season. Suddenly he hits the ground running and provides the goal required to push us to the title. Great work, guys. Well, listen, that's what we're all hoping. He did all right the other day, Eddie, when he came in, and of course he scored.
Yeah.
He scored the goal of the game. Brilliant goal.
Incredible
And
goal.
I must say, I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on today, because as we all know, when you get a goal, especially a goal like the one he scored, that will only lift his confidence. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on today.
Scored
In
a very
fact,
good
I'm backing him to score. My pre-match prediction was 1-0 to Arsenal, and I said that Eddie would get the goal.
1-0 with Eddie scoring.
Yeah, that was my pre-match prediction. I'm sticking with that as well.
Yeah, and Alex Smith says, greetings teams. I say 2-0 today, and he says, well done to Leah and Beth Mead on their MBEs. Congratulations going out to both of them.
Yeah.
The Lionesses, of course, and 2 Arsenal players who got MBEs in the King's New Year's honours list. Also, big up Denise Lewis as well, a friend of mine, who also
she got a Dane.
Well done to her as well.
I was hoping to see your name up there, man.
My name?
Services to social media.
No, man, I got a black
Maybe
mark.
next year.
Too many black marks against my one, right? You know what I mean? But
Maybe next year.
yeah. So listen, we're about a couple of minutes away from knowing what the starting 11 is going to be, and it's going to be intriguing to know what Brighton's starting 11 is going to be.
Can I get your really quick reaction to something? 'Cause just a minute or two out from the 11. The contract for Saliba, bit of debate online about whether it's a good thing or not.
What
The extension, so it was due to expire this summer,
End of season,
which
yeah.
I didn't realise. So they actually extended it by a year.
Yeah.
That's probably why all the reports were that it was to 2024. Really, it was that Arsenal could always. But a lot of people theorising that maybe the contract talks aren't going quite as well as we'd thought. Hence why Arsenal have thought, let's just extend this, buy ourselves some time. Anything in that, or is this just a standard practice from Arsenal as we're approaching January?
Sounds like
It could also be Saliba and or his agent saying, look, things are going great right now, top of the league or whatever, but we believe the player needs to be playing at the pinnacle of world football. Let's see where you end up at the end of this season and we'll take it from there. So it's not necessarily contract negotiation stalling, but everyone wants to know where they stand at the end of the season. If you've got the option to extend for a year and both parties have that clarity, then why not? So I'm not too perturbed by it, but I can understand why people will be like, oh, why did we have to force ourselves into a year extension when we could have signed them to another long-term deal now? Sure.
If you really want that year,
exactly, and that's good management. Because in years gone by, Robbie, we wouldn't have had that.
We wouldn't have had that,
and we would have been held to ransom.
Because I didn't even realise that extra year was there until they activated it. I
did the same with Patino.
Yeah, they've done the same with Patino as well. So it could be like a sort of automatic thing that they've just done.
I think that they kind of had to do it, really. They had to.
You know, but I mean,
you don't want it to drag out.
Got to get that deal done. By the way, there was also Jen Beattie and Kim Little who got MBEs as well for the Arsenal ladies. So well done to all of them. But yeah, listen, it's important that we tie down Saliba. He's been a very, very important player for us. So yeah, and you know, slip my name. Brazilian.
Martinelli.
That's pretty. All right. Important that we tie him down as well. You know, very, very important indeed. I think I've got the lineups here.
All right.
So let me just give them to you right now. Let's start off with the Arsenal lineup. Where's it gone? Why does it just give me the Brighton one? I don't want to see the Brighton one.
So we all,
right,
we all went Zinchenko, yeah? Predictions? We all thought it was Zinchenko?
Yeah.
You all went with Zinchenko, right? It's, well, Aaron Ramsdale in goal, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and...
Zinchenko.
You still sticking Zinchenko?
I think so, yeah.
You're right. Zinchenko. Zinchenko starts.
He's Arteta's man.
Odegaard, Thomas Partey, and Granit Xhaka in midfield, and Saka, Eddie Nketiah, and Martinelli up front. Saka. And on the bench is Matt Turner, Kieran Tierney, Rob Holding, Cedric, Tomiyasu is back on the bench, Fabio Vieira, Mohamed El Neni, Lokonga's back in as well, and Marquinhos. So not a lot of
attacking options.
Attacking options on the bench, but quite a strong bench if it comes down to defence. Let's give you the Brighton team. That's Sanchez in goal, Tariq Lamptey, Dunk, Levi Colwell, and then there's Espetan, and then a midfield of Billy Gilmore, Pascal Gross, and then they've got Solly Marsh, Adam Lallana, Mitoma, and Trossard.
You know what?
Adam Lallana's sort of had a bit of a resurgence of form.
He's a good player, and I'm glad he's having this. Brighton's a great club for him. It really suits his style of football. He had injury problems at Liverpool, but yeah, you're absolutely right. He's having a good resurgence.
So that's the lineup. Of course, they weren't telling no lies. There is no Welbeck. There is no Caicedo, which is, you know, that's a big miss for them. He's the engine in the midfield, and no Webster as well.
Yeah. Can I just say, right, and I hope this doesn't sound overtly, pompous, arrogant, or anything like that, but if you're Arteta and the Arsenal team, and they may not say this openly, but that lineup for Brighton's not going to frighten you, is it?
A couple of players might.
Do you know what they've got?
They've got Trossard.
They don't frighten you. Yeah. They don't frighten you as individuals, but they are a tean.
They have to be respected.
Yeah, they have to be very respected, because at home as well they're very strong, and they are. I think with Brighton, even over the years when they've had they've got top players, like Trossard's a top player, but they're a team. That's what makes Brighton Brighton. And it's not about one individual at Brighton ever. It's always about the fact that they've got a system that works for them, and they're a team, and if you're caught slipping against Brighton,
that's true, but also they've got a number of their key players out, is the point I'm making.
No Welbeck, no Caicedo, those two.
No McAllister.
And no McAllister.
You know what I love about their team? It's like, it's got all the ingredients in terms of, okay, we're talking about some of the names and stuff, but Mitoma's got real pace, and he's direct. Solly March can do something out of nothing. Trossard scores against the big teams. Lallana's experienced, Gilmore, talented young player. Dunk experienced, Levi Colwell, the next big thing. And then with Lamptey and Estupiñán, you've got two real marauding fullbacks as well. So you can really see how they could cause anyone problem. I know they had, I think, Caicedo and McAllister available for that game, but you can understand why with those players they beat Chelsea 4-1. Yeah. You could see how a team can rip through another side like that. So if Arsenal can get their foot on the ball, unsettle them, I agree, that's a team that you can maybe rattle.
I would expect Arsenal to beat them today.
And I really hope you're right, but I could see them.
But you would also look on it.
Problem
I can't see where Laurie's coming from. As I said, they're a team. But then you look at our midfield and their midfield. And as I said, we're going into this game for once with everybody. The key guys are all there. And a lot of times when we face teams like this away from home, they're not. Right? And, and I think, I look at their midfield and I look at our midfield and I'm like, they always say games are won and lost in midfield. I think we could get a lot of joy in that midfield today.
I feel that way when I look at most opposition midfields now, with the midfield that we have. And everything that you said about Brighton, how there may not be that one massive player, but they're a team. That could be said for us
as well.
That could be said for us, whereas we're at slightly fuller strength than they are. And also everything that you said about Brighton, in terms of they've got fullbacks that can be marauding if need be, and they've got technicians on the ball. That's also us, right? So it could very much be a game of fighting fire with fire, or it could be.
It will be punch for punch.
Yeah, I mean, it could go that way, especially with, look, man, New Year's Eve, late kickoff, everyone's off tomorrow. That crowd will have a few drinks in them. We're away at Brighton. They'll be lively. They'll be lively.
Yeah,
we need to quieten them down in the first 15 or 20.
But I think we should. So far, anyway, the results are going our way. So far.
Yeah, still a little while to go.
There's still a little while to go, but seriously, I think that if you're Arteta in the Arsenal team, you're looking at that, you're thinking that shouldn't intimidate me. Put it that way. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best not to sound arrogant.
No, without being arrogant, we shouldn't be intimidated by Brighton anyway. Brighton are a good side, very, very good. Typical of the Premier League, where you get these teams that, you know, they may be small, but they are very, very good teams. You know what I mean? Very well organised, very good technicians within them. And every small team has internationals, top internationals like Trossard and people like that. So,
well, it's the old adage that there's no easy games in the Premier League.
But I feel that, you know, on the other hand, Arsenal, if we're looking to try and win the title, these are sort of games where we're looking at and saying, yeah, we can go there and get the 3 points. Now, I want to ask you guys and get your guys' predictions. Let's start with you, Laurie.
Well, I said it earlier, I'm not going to recant, but I am confident that we will win. I've said 1-0. It could even be more, but I'm definitely going 1-0 to us.
1-0.
I'm definitely going for the win.
1-0 with, you said, with Eddie scoring.
With Eddie scoring.
Troy.
I'm going for a 2-0 today. I think our defensive performances away from home have been brilliant. We've got a wonderful record of clean sheets away from home.
Yeah, that's very true.
Looking at that midfield and the defence that we've named, I'm hoping that we can keep them at bay, and we've got enough to get more than one, I think.
Okay, so you're going 2-0?
I am indeed,
Yeah, 2-0.
I'm actually going 2-0 as well. I can't fancy a 2-0 today, and I think that's another one of the understated things, the underrated thing, should I say, about Arsenal, is how well we've been defensively. You know, I think I saw the other day that we haven't conceded we haven't conceded from a corner all season. You know what I mean? Things like that, where we associate those things in the past with two-star Arsenal. Right?
We had a similar stat for a long period of last season as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Last season we did well from set pieces as well. So let me just run through the team again. It's Ramsdale in goal, Ben White, who returns, of course, to Brighton. The team where we bought him from, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko is back into the team. Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli and Eddie Nketiah up front. On the bench is Matt Turner, Kieran Tierney, Tomiyasu is back, Cedric, Holding, Elneny, Lokonga, Vieira and Marquinhos. The game is going to be here. We've got it covered here on AFTV. Turkish is going to be up in here very, very soon. We're covering it in the studio. Cecil and the guys are at the game. They're going to be speaking to fans after the match. So listen, we are really, really looking forward to it. The last game for Arsenal in 2022. The last game in the Premier League of 2022, because it's the last one of the day. So big, big game for the Arsenal. You guys make sure you come over and watch the Match Day Live watch along right here on AFTV, no limitations, right here, right? So make sure you come and check it out. And also I want to thank NordVPN again. If you want to get a VPN, don't forget to scan the QR code for the AFTV special or click the link in the description. So game coming up very soon. At the moment, by the way, just filling you in those results, it's still, fingers crossed, Man City 1, Everton 1, and it's still Newcastle 0. I thought that was a flash coming up on the screen there. It's still Newcastle 0, Leeds 0. There is still a little bit of time to go in those games, about another 10 minutes or so. But let's hopefully, maybe they could do us a favour and we can push on and really get a good lead. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out Match Day Live. Listen, things ain't getting any cheaper. So if you're travelling a lot like me and you want to save money, you can do that with NordVPN. Once you have NordVPN, you can explore a lot of different price options for things like flights, hotels, entertainment, anything you want. Just use NordVPN to change your location. Why pay international prices when you can pay local prices? We save literally hundreds of pounds every time we follow Arsenal on tour. And with the AFTV special, you can get 4 months free. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link to be invincible.